Hi everyone, I'm back here with Soke. We're talking about his book, which I forgot to bring, so I'm in trouble already. But I have been reading it all this week and I've been finding it very interesting. The first question today is, Soke, if you were in your 20s knowing what you know now, but without physical experience, what type of martial arts would you choose?
Good question, Grant. I think I'd have to choose Jiu-Jitsu would certainly be one that would interest me because it has such a wide range of regards to grappling, throwing, striking and weaponry. So it would probably be Jiu-Jitsu. And let me put this out there that, you know, I've only had one instructor, which was my master, Bob Lawrence, but there will certainly be people over here I would have loved to have known before they passed away. Danny Yong was one of them. And I have had many good conversations with Tino Sobrano as well, who was a unique way of looking at the martial arts. So every time I catch up with Tino, I look at it as another lesson for me to learn. But yeah, Jiu-Jitsu would be what I would study if there was only a single art available.
Fantastic, very interesting. Not counting Bob Lawrence, is there one particular person who you would like to train with, even if they were dead and they could come back?
My mind floats to Miyamoto Musashi, who in a great deal of ways affected what Bob Lawrence developed and what I study to this day, which was Fido Shin. Musashi was one of those people, from my interpretation of the many stories that have been told about him, that studied the sword but also broke it up into different studies of different weapons, purely and simply because if he ever had to face them. He certainly had a unique way of looking about combat and was one of the first, I believe, who thought that if we carry two swords, why can't we not use two swords? So he was a person back in his time, 16th century I believe, where he thought very differently to the norm. So definitely Musashi would have been one of them for certain.
That's very interesting. So the third question, what is more important, achieving a goal or the journey towards that goal?
I know there would be people that say the journey is always the most important part of studying the arts, but I have to say the goal is important as well. When we set ourselves a goal and then achieve that goal, it sets us up for the next stage and the next stage and so on. So the journey is important, and sometimes it's looked upon as just a way of getting from A to B, and then you don't necessarily see all the beautiful things that you pick up and learn on that path. So I believe both have value. To not have an aim, a goal, that's not necessarily a good thing either, because we have to challenge ourselves on a day-to-day thing. Where it's for old people like me just getting out of bed in the morning, it's a goal that we have to set ourselves up for. So I believe that both of them have value. And I've enjoyed my journey thus far. And I think both those are important though. The journey is important because that's the long-term view of it, but individual goals, I mean, say to go, I've got to get to there because that's black belt. So if I'm only just focusing on there, I'm not going to pick up all these things that I've picked up on the way to get to there. So I think they both have merit, but to concentrate on one or the other, not necessarily a good thing.
So, okay, this is a hard one. Why is there so many different ideas on what requirements for black belt? There's so many, it doesn't matter what style you go to, there doesn't seem to be any cohesion between all the different styles.
Well, as you said, because there is such a diversity in the martial arts, and obviously each instructor has a different viewpoint on what he or she would like to see for a black belt. But there are commonalities that I think, you know, humility would be one of them, perseverance, and there are lots of things outside the actual techniques that I look at and I go, yes, that makes that person a black belt. I will relate to the book here. There are people who understand more about martial arts and have never studied it. Just our lifestyle, whether it's been through a physical disability, a mental disability, or just hardship. They understand what it's like to get knocked down and get back up again. So there are people who have never gone into a martial arts school who understand about achieving a goal and the journey to survive each and every week. And sometimes I believe they have a better handle on it than some of the people that actually study martial arts. There's something for you to think about.
Very true. As I said, I've been reading through your book, and I've found a lot of little gems in there, which is amazing. So on that subject, what motivated you to write the book?
Well, I believe it's an obligation of all teachers from all clubs, this is just my opinion, to pass on what they was taught in the best possible way. Now, whether that be by doing seminars or taking classes or writing a book, because all people learn in a different way. Some people have to actually do the physical action, some people can talk about it, some people can look at it. So what I've tried to do with the book is to give people an understanding of the concept of what Fedoshin is. And because you can't lay it all out as in this is just the throws, this is just this and so on, you've got to look at the entirety of it all. It was a hard thing, and anyone thinking to write a book, think long and hard about it, because I did change direction with the book I think 2 or 3 times, because I had people who would help me collect information with photographs and research into my history and everything else, but obviously everyone has a different viewpoint, so I found that a little bit hard at first, but I would like to think that the book I've produced is something that anyone from a karate person to a judo to jiu-jitsu and all the other arts could look at and gain something out of.
Fantastic. I can recommend the book, and if you'd like to purchase one, Soke would be glad to supply it.
Absolutely. Just PM me or go to our webpage, which is fedoshin.com, I think it is. But don't get me wrong, you might have to cut that out because they're in the process of rebuilding my webpage. So, but yeah, just PM me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to post one out to you by all means.
Yep. All right. Thank you for a lovely interview. That was one of the questions. Who drove you nuts the most about putting it out? Me.